When we Google the most inbred country in the world, Pakistan comes up. It has the highest rate of cousin marriages in the world. In 2014, consanguineous marriage was reported to be higher than 60% of the population. So in this video, I'm going to untangle that and answer Google's answer with a why. Why is Pakistan so inbred? If you're new to my channel, welcome. Here on Mortal Faces, I untangle many historical family trees, so let's get started. Subscribe for more videos and let me know in the comments what you want to see next. Brazil has a frequency of cousin marriages of 1.6%. Japan between 1 and 5. Iran about 30%. The Arab population in Israel is about 36 to 41, while the Bedouin population in Israel is about 44. Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, around or under 50%. Iraq and Afghanistan, 40 to 60%. Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Bahrain, about 40%. And Oman and Qatar is about 54 to 56%. And in rural India, it's about 46%, while urban India, the marriage between family members with a common ancestor is about 29%. Pakistan used to be part of India and became its own country in 1947 when the British ended their 200-year rule. The Muslims were worried, how would they live in a country ruled by Hindu majority? The solution? Have separate areas, which became known as Pakistan and Bangladesh. This division forced millions out of their homes and villages and into their own side, often by force. Militant groups popped up, aiding in the displacement and brutality of the war. Having said that, Pakistan has the highest cousin marriage population, but why? For starters, in Islam, it doesn't say you can't marry a cousin. According to the Quran, it's forbidden for you to marry your mothers, your daughters, your sisters, your maternal aunts, paternal aunts, nieces from your brother or sister's side, foster mothers who have suckled you, your foster sisters, your mother-in-law, the stepdaughters who are in your wife's care, but only if you consummated your marriage with your wife, and if not, then it's fair game with those stepdaughters, your sister-in-law, and married women. It says nothing about cousins. Here's what we know. In Pakistan, studies have found higher rates of consanguineous marriages in rural areas as compared to urban areas. The richer ones are less likely to marry a cousin than the poorer counterparts, and those with higher than basic education are also less likely to marry a cousin. With education and money comes a dowry. Where the practice of a dowry has been widespread historically, it's still a cultural practice that many families incorporate in their traditions. Several studies found that most marrying consanguineously may be able to pay a lower dowry, defer it, or may not need to pay one at all. That's great news if you don't have a lot of money. So if you're poor, it means that it's cheaper to marry a cousin than to marry an outsider. And that brings us to point number 3 then. Why would the other cousin want to marry you, the poor one? One word: pride. Pride. Just like children whose parents are divorced have a higher rate to be divorced themselves, children whose parents are cousins have a higher rate of marrying their cousin as well. It becomes normal to you, and if you're in a community that already sees this as normal, then it reinforces how normal it is. To add that, both qualitative and quantitative studies have shown that consanguineous marriages are strongly associated with marital stability, lower likelihood of divorce, and a better relationship between spouses. In a place where growing up, boys stick to boys and girls stick to girls, the only opposite gender you would get to hang out with is your cousin. Therefore, it's easier for a bond to form. When you grow up, seeing all of this, you wonder, what's so wrong? Everything seems happy. So when we talk about pride, a good marriage like this is sought after. You have a family, a community that supports you, and you're not being shunned. So if I'm in the market for a spouse and I'm poor, I can't afford to marry a stranger from another caste or social group. That's expensive. Plus, I don't even know if they're good people. My cousin, on the other hand, gives me a discount. So if I'm going dollar for dollar value, especially if my cousin is rich, then I'm going with my cousin. We'll take a chance on genetic variations, but it just seems to fit. Plus, marrying your cousin shows that your family is attractive. Like, if your cousin is willing to marry you, then you and your family must be real good. good, honest, maybe rich, hardworking people. So you're telling people, look at me, I'm not undesirable. In fact, I'm so desirable, my flesh and blood is willing to share my bed. And that says we are not outcasts. Finally, let's talk about money. It's a big part of this. If I have assets, it's a whole other story. I have to keep my money in the family. I don't want my family's wealth to go to strangers. There's a certain status and value attached to my bank that shows my family is not worthless, and it feeds us. So I don't want to give my food and my worth to random strangers. So when I see a family member available, it makes it more attractive to me because it gives me peace of mind that when I die, my family's money and or my hard-earned money isn't going to dissipate. It will stay within this good name and allow us to survive for generations. The thing with Pakistan is it's a slow developing country whose fertility rate is not declining as fast as other nations. So with a lack of infrastructure, rural areas, and as the 5th most populous country, where for many people wealth is still measured by how much land you have, the concept of keeping it in the family and the availability of cousins to pick from, consanguinity just becomes a more desirable, easy, and accessible option. And that's why marrying your cousin is so prevalent in Pakistan. And that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more, I do have a lot more videos on my channel. You can check them all out. Subscribe for more. Each of your subscriptions does help the channel grow. It allows me to continue making more content for you. Let me know in the comments who you want to see next. I'd make a list of all your suggestions, and I will see you in the next one.